what to expect in the afterlife. And as I said, death is a continuation of life for the believer.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, none of us want to think about death. We want to be in this present state. We want to be with our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And death is just something that we don't think about. We don't want to think about.
Right.
And we want to be in this present state, being in the flesh, so to speak, because this is what we know. This is what
Right.
we experience every day. And when we think about death, especially before getting saved, death can be scary.
True.
The concept of it is scary, especially
Uh-huh.
when you see a dead body and you see it decomposing. That sends chills up your spine.
Right.
And just the very thought of thinking that one day that could be me.
Yes.
But that's why I always say we have to renew our minds on a
Right.
daily basis, on a regular, especially when it comes to death.
Right.
Because it doesn't have to be scary. As a matter of fact, it's something that being believers
Uh-huh.
that we should look forward to. And I know, again, that sounds cryptic, especially to the non-believer.
Right.
And even as I say that, it sounds kind of cryptic to me. But
Uh-huh.
again, renewing the mind, because we have been programmed, we've been taught such a way about death that we are to
Uh-huh.
fear death. But what does the word say? The word tells us not to fear death.
Right.
And really, we should look toward we should look forward to heaven. Whereas if you think of it this way, everything we get anew. We get a new body. We get a new
Right.
place to stay.
Mm.
Being in a new body, um, you will no longer feel pain. You will
Right.
no longer go through again like what Janesta, what she's going through the pain with the toothache.
Yes.
There won't
Yes.
be anything like that. There won't be a situation of like your brother-in-law Bruce, whereas he I guess had to go through the
Mm.
sickness, okay,
Yes, he had a lot of
Or
things.
Janessa's father going through what he went through. There will be no
Yes.
more of that
Yes.
because you'll get a new body being transformed.
Yes.
And the thing is, we 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 can look at movies and see superheroes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, you get the ideas from our imaginations, but really
Yes.
our imaginations are pulling from our real selves. Our
Mm.
real
That's a good
selves
point.
in a transformed life, our
Mm-hmm.
bodies can, in the blink of an eye, think and we're somewhere else.
Mm.
We won't die. We won't have to worry about say, oh, we get hit by a car or something like we will never have to worry about that ever.
Amen.
This is what we have to look forward to when we go into the afterlife.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, what was your first inclination
About what?
about heaven? What was your first inclination of heaven?
Well, I was a young girl, and my father actually told us about heaven. So my first inclination of heaven is that it was a beautiful place, like no other.
Mm-hmm.
That the streets were paved with gold. This is what my father was, telling us, and so my first inclination is, like I said, It was the most beautiful place. It was nothing like it on earth, and the fullness of the trees and everything was beautiful. And it was almost like he was describing Earth, but a much better place.
You know, my first thoughts of heaven was through society itself. Be it that you'd have wings and playing a harp, because that's what I saw on TV. That's what the world's perception is of heaven. So
Wow.
I didn't go to church.
Yes, yeah, I understand.
So I growing up in New York and everything. So that was my perception or inclination of heaven.
Right.
And basically that was it.
Yes.
That was it.
And a lot of people believe, I guess, because metaphorically it's described as angels in Isaiah, how he talks with God, and the seraphims and the angels have wings, but really, I don't think so.
Right.
No wings at all. No wings. It's like you said. You made an excellent point, Minister Marvin. It's like you said, when you're looking at TV and it exposes you to what heaven's supposed to be, with all these angels flying around, and
and then they're in the clouds too. In the clouds, playing a harp.
Yes. And so, and most people believe that. And until we are, the Spirit teaches us and the Word teaches us different.
Right. Right. And really, if you think about it, a lot of people would find that to be boring.
Yeah, they would. Like, why do I need to go there? I don't want to see angels flying around. There's nothing to do in heaven. Yeah, there's plenty to do. Yeah,
right. And and that would, and I would think, and it really, and that idea and concept has deterred people.
Yes.
To change their lifestyle, so to speak, or accept Christ as Savior.
Right.
Because society's perception has put forth a very docile, everybody be quiet, and they get that, and they get that from really the Catholic Church, in the sense of everybody be quiet.
Yes.
We be quiet as a church mouse. If you heard that expression before.
Yes, I've heard that expression.
So
and then they make the devil with these horns,
and he's exciting,
and he has a pitchfork in his hand, and it's like, but God didn't create him like that. What are you talking about? They're trying to show him as this evil, which he is, evil being, but like you said, to an extreme. It's extreme,
Yeah, and he comes off as being exciting.
Yes.
From the world's point of view, so to speak.
From the world's point of view, yes.
So now I have a few.
Ouch.
I have a few ideas of what I might add to I think what heaven would be. And now, be with me on this one now.
Okay.
But I obviously think,
yes,
when one has to poop, that we won't have to do that in heaven.
No, we won't.
Because I'm thinking about this. Where now, see, the thing is, it stinks.
Yes.
And that's not pleasant. That's not pleasurable.
No. No.
The it makes your stomach
Yes.
makes your stomach, be upset. Again, that goes against the grain of what heaven is supposed to be.
I'm laughing because when I was a little girl, I would tell my sisters, my poop don't smell as bad as y'all's. Oh my God. And all poop stink, okay?
Uh-oh.
Uh,
I hit the card. Let's see.
okay.
Okay. So, because I thought about Adam and Eve
Yes.
when before, and I put it this way, they turned against God, so to speak.
Yes. Yes.
I think God designed them to, and this is just me, that they didn't have to
They didn't have to.
at the
No.
time, because again, it doesn't
No.
having to do that. It doesn't coincide
Right.
with right. So
Yes.
I think that's just a.
I'm with you on that one. I am with you on that
So
one.
even though, see, that's one of those situations where people don't think about, and or they don't want to go to that extreme of thinking that way. Hold
But
on,
I'll go there in a heartbeat.
hold on. Let me see something here. Where the garage door
Okay.
I did that by accident, Marvin.
open? Oh. Okay.
When I
So
did that.
so yeah, there'll be no pooping in heaven.
And you know what I used to ask? I used to say to my sisters and like, why is all these bugs flying around and moving on the ground? I don't think there gonna be any bugs and roaches in heaven either.
See, that's one of the questions I was going to get to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll jump to that one, because
Okay.
again, I'm thinking this way:
Uh-huh.
a roach is, if you think about it, especially a roach, is not beneficial. It's disease carrying, just like a rat, disease carrying. I think those came in when sin came in.
I believe so.
They accompanied Satan. I truly believe that. Now somebody
You know
else may
what? That's
dispute
an
that.
excellent point, because I was going to ask God. Here I go. I'm gonna ask him, why would you even allow roaches to be on the earth? Okay,
'Cause
why?
I think,
And my sister said, when you get to heaven, you ain't thinking about all that. Okay, but you're right.
but I don't think
You're right.
I don't think we'll see them, not
No.
unless he clean them up. But but that was my idea, in a sense of, they were with remember, Satan was banished to
Yes.
earth.
Yes.
I believe that those nasties,
Critters.
so to speak,
Yes.
accompanied him
Yes.
to give his presence even more grime and
Yes.
grit, so to speak. And when sin happened, it opened the door for the undesirable insects and animals, so to speak. I truly
I
believe
believe
that.
that. I really believe that.
So I believe that our experience in heaven will not be accompanied by the nastiness of rats and roaches and so forth.
I don't think so either. Mm-mm. I'm with you on that one. I
And
think I had taken some notes, and the whole process of life is set up to invite us into heaven. It behooves us as Christians and people, while we are here, to start the process of course, repentance, reformation, and regeneration. Because I do believe, I don't know how you guys believe, but I believe that after death, we immediately come into the presence of the Lord. I really believe that. That after death, we immediately come into the presence of the Lord. And this presence fills us with a greater sense of peace, as well as greater clarity about the troubled areas of our lives,
Right.
And because remember, the Bible talks about, how God will judge this and that. But truly, do we understand what that judgment means? And some people take that, even Christians take that the wrong way, And so I think that even with the troubled areas of our life, in a sense, this clarity is what the judgment is. It is a chance for us to look more or closer at our hearts and our minds and the actions we've taken in certain areas of our lives, And when we read Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 10, it says, I, the Lord, search the heart, I test the mind, even to give every man according to his ways. So if you look at that, there are three elements there: our hearts, our mind, and our ways. And all three are taken into account, even, when we're transitioning into heaven, So that's all I wanted to say. I want you to continue.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. And and thank you for adding that to it also.
Mm-hmm. You're
Let's see.
welcome.
And what I also have is, will you, and this is a question I'm posing, will you remember people you didn't like, but they're in heaven too?
Mm. Well, I'm
Do
gonna
you
tell
think
you
you
something.
remember? Do you think you remember people that you didn't like and that they're in heaven also now?
Hmm. I think there is a catastrophic change in your whole being, and that even if you remember them, there's no hatred or anger or sadness or whatever. Even if you, huh? Oh, it's somebody that came on. No. Okay. But I'm sorry. But I'm not sure, but I do believe that, I don't know if we remember or not. And even if we did, because, let me ask you a question. I don't know if God removes all memory from our mind from being on earth while being in heaven. I don't know if he does that. But let's say, for argument's sake, that he doesn't do that. And that the very essence of our being is changed. And so if the essence of our being, which means our mind, body, and soul, is changed, we don't look at a person, we will not look at a person the same exact way. No way in heaven. No way.
Because what I think, I'll give you an example of what you was alluding to is, say somebody had killed a relative of yours, and you saw them, you was at their trial, you saw their face and everything, you saw them go to prison, and then in prison, they got saved. And then now I'm thinking, okay, you're both in heaven now, and I just wonder how that scenario would go, or does he again change your take that away from your memory or what? See, I'm.
Even if, let's say, he didn't take that from your memory, I think because he's all powerful, okay, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, even in heaven. I think that even if he did not remove that, it's removed automatically because perhaps, with a person getting saved, it would be different down here on earth. And we ought to forgive even down here on earth because we don't know what God is going to do in somebody's life. But in heaven, I think we look at things the way Christ, let's say this, we look at things the way Christ look at it. Because our bodies have been changed, and our minds have been changed.
Right.
So we no longer look from the physical eyesight. We look at things spiritually,
And I think,
as Christ does.
I think the key words you said right there was the way Christ would. Because you recall when he was being beaten, he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do."
What an excellent point. Yes.
So now that you alluded to that, and it made me think of that. So yeah, we would again, because the Lord is also all about forgiving also. So we would already be forgiving of whoever it may be.
I don't know if you go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. You go.
I think because I took some medicine. Because I believe that as death is taking place, or we transition into our heavenly home, is that all the things that was mortality is changing it to the immortality. So the things that we did on earth, the way we thought and the way we talked or whatever, all that is changing. So by the time, because I believe that there's just different levels of heaven. And so by the time we reach what Christ is, all of that other stuff will be gone.
Yes.
And I remember, because sin cannot enter heaven. Sin cannot enter heaven. So I sinful thoughts, words or whatever, they're no longer there.
Good point. Good point.
And I remember when Dr. Evans was telling us about his wife, when she was she was saying that she could see her mother and her father.
Yes.
But they could not see her, but she could see them. She was saying that they were giving her a crown. The people there was giving her a crown. And it's so much that by the time we reach heaven, we're not going to remember all that bad stuff that we're going back to the place where we came from.
Yes.
And so our mindset and all that stuff would be changed.
Yes. I truly agree with you.
Good point.
Because the different levels that you're talking about is so true. That's very true. And that's very key. And our mindsets will already be changed. When we transfer, when we transition and our spirit comes out of our body, nothing is the same. We are, I love what you just said. We go back to the place that we initially came from, and so because there's no sin in heaven, at all, and so therefore there's no burdens, there's no hurt, there's no pain, and
and this is what our minds right now can't conceive. Whereas heaven will be so joyous.
Yes.
Because there have been times when I think about heaven, and then I'm thinking, because see, this is my finite mind thinking that.
That's okay.
How's it going to be? How's it going to be joyous 24/7? Well, see, time won't even be an issue anyway.
No, not at all.
It won't even be an issue. But
That's
a continuous thing of just joy. And the thing is, I can't think that far right now because I'm in the flesh. I'm in the skin.
Right.
But the reality is that there will be worshiping of the Lord. There will be joy continuously,
Yes.
and that's something that we have to try to anyway wrap our minds around, and looking forward to the being in the afterlife on the other side, so to speak.
Wow. Let's look at what Janesta said about the different levels, because I had taken some notes, as I said, and the essence of who we are lives on, because death is merely a transition of the spirit between states of being. When the body stops working, the soul is no longer anchored to the natural world. So where does it go? The soul, that is, it takes on the spirit of God, and it goes beyond our physical form, an awakening, to us. And like you said earlier, Minister Marvin, we don't remember. It was either you or Minister Janessa. We don't remember any of that. We don't remember that because because we have the spirit. Even here, we have the spirit of Christ. So you can imagine once we transition to those different levels, and because there's a natural world and there's the spiritual world, and so after death we find ourselves in a place which looks very similar to Earth, but it's far more beautiful. It's far more beautiful.
Oh yeah.
No angels are in the clouds and all of that.
Right.
And we find ourselves in a state of pure bliss. Although we now know and see as God sees. Because our spiritual eyes are even more open, are even more,
Right.
Can you imagine here on earth? I don't know neither one of you spiritual journey. All I can say is there are several things and I won't get into everything, and we could talk about that another time, but there are several things that has happened to me. Because I'm always asking, I don't know if you guys do this, I'm always asking him questions. Always. And there's no question too simple, too small for Christ that he will not answer. And I think I told you this before. I used to ask him, well, what is death like? You hear people saying this and you hear people saying that. You hear ministers saying certain things. Really, I want to know it. And I asked him this question for years. And finally, 2 years ago, he actually showed me. This is what happened. I'm in the hospital. I'm lying in the bed. And I'm standing between my two brothers, my spirit. And I see them put the covers, the sheet, over my head. So God is saying to me, this is what happens. Your spirit leaves the body. The person that you really are leaves the house, the shell that's covering you. But I was standing between my brother Dennis and my brother Darryl. And I said, I don't need to ask you any more questions about that. Because first of all, it took me completely out, when he was showing me this. And then I called my sister. Don't laugh, Janesta and Marvin. But I called my sister. I said, well, I hope I'm not dying anytime soon because this is what happened. And she said, well, wait a minute. Didn't you ask God almost every day to show you what death is like and what happens to the body? And I said, yes, I sure did. I did. Yeah.
I can remember, and I can I can agree with that, CeCe, because I think it was in 1988 or 89, and I know it was the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where Marvin and I was living.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember this so vivid, it just so clear. And I can remember, as you stated, I could see my body, my spirit leave my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Marvin and I had just had one of our intense fellowships, and so and so I could see my spirit leave my body,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like God turned me around, and I could see Marvin in the bed, but God took me to heaven.
Wow.
And when I got there, I did not see him, but I could hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke to me. And when it was time for my spirit, and it was peaceful. And when it was time for my spirit to enter back into my body, it shook Marvin, and he knew something had happened. And
Wow.
I told him when he woke up, and I said, God took me from my body and took me to the heavens.
Mm.
And I said, and that's the shook. And I will agree with you. It wasn't what people said it is. It was
Mm-hmm.
like my spirit,
Mm-hmm.
my body, and
Mm-hmm.
went to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked to me, and I came back.
I love that. And I truly believe you, because I was lying in the bed with my husband, and my husband was asleep, and my spirit came out of my body. But wait a minute, I didn't do what you did, okay? The spirit came out of the body, and I don't know where my spirit went, but all I know is I saw me coming back into the body. And let me tell you what I did. I slapped my husband upside the head. And I said, wake up, wake up. I didn't slap him hard, but I slapped him enough where he could feel something. And I said, please wake up. And he said, wife, that's what he called me. Wife, what's wrong? And I said, I just saw myself come into my body. He said, straight up in the bed. He wanted me to tell him the whole experience. And I said, all I know is I don't know where I went. All I know is when I was coming back, because I couldn't move, when I was coming back into my body, I could see the spirit of me coming into my body, And he was like, I wonder where you went. I said, I don't know, but I hope it never, ever, 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 ever happened to me again, But recently I was saying to God, if it happens, I'm going to be just fine.
Yes, you are.
Because this is you. So I'm not afraid anymore, Yeah.
I've had it happen to me several times, cousin. And so I can remember one time God took me up, and he took me there, and I could see a bunch of people. And I said, Lord, where are these people going? I mean, because it was like miles. So like my spirit was moving. And when I asked him where were these people going, he took me to the place that they were going. And they was going to a drop-off place.
Wow.
And in that time, I knew that was not a good thing. And so the Lord was showing me, he was like to pray for the people, pray for the unsaved, because where they were dropping off was not a good place.
Oh my God.
But it was so many people. But he took me very high for me to be able to see it. And then I woke back.
Wow. That's a blessing. It truly is. When God does that, because God reaches us in different ways, and he shows us different things, And some people he might not show aggressively like that because they might can't take it, But thank God that you were able to sit with it and be okay with it and know that, these people are not they're going into the wrong place. They're going to be bounced off.
Mm-hmm.
Minister Marvin, was you ready to say something?
Yeah. Now I had recalled seeing this was a scientist from years ago, and he was an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, he was an atheist. And he recalls that he fell from a two-story balcony, cracked his head, and he was in the hospital. I think he was on life support. And he recalls seeing Jesus, and he said it was the vision that he had was white. I mean, and he saw these white flowers or roses or whatever, but they were.
Mm-hmm.
He said there was a brilliant white, a white he had never even seen before. That's how different this white was.
Mm.
And he said he called out for he asked Jesus about his wife who had passed on, and Jesus told him, it's not time for you to see her yet.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go. I want you to go back and spread my word.
You mean go back to Earth?
Yes, go back and spread my word.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And he said he recalls stepping on one of the flowers,
Mm-hmm.
and he was apologizing for stepping on it, and Jesus told him, don't worry about that. He said, just in your, think that you did not break it or do any damage to it. And he took his foot off, and it just popped right back up.
Oh, my
See,
God.
that tells you that in heaven, all you gotta do is think it, and use your brain,
Yes.
and it will happen. It will be, and that's why they say that we only use maybe 10 or 15% of our brain.
That's right, 10%.
Because
absolutely,
if we and it goes back to the scriptures, the way we think. If we're thinking about something, then if we're thinking long enough, it will happen to us. So that's why be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds, Romans 12:2.
Yeah. I need to hear that scripture today, seriously.
And I want to, because I don't know how much time, because it could be any minute now where I get the cutoff. I wish they'd give me like a countdown.
Yeah, and Byron just came on and said he was trying to get in, but he's unable to get in. I don't know.
I didn't see, because it would show me if somebody's trying to. It would show me if somebody's trying to get in.
Yeah, he was trying to get in. He said, I can't get in. And, and so he couldn't get in. Well, he can't get in.
But let me go ahead and give these scriptures here.
Okay.
Or some words with the scriptures. It says, God's dwelling place. Heaven is portrayed as the dwelling place of God in the Bible. God is often described as residing in heaven, and it is considered his eternal abode, Psalms 123:1 and Matthew 6:9. It is paradise and bliss. Heaven is often depicted as a place of perfect peace, joy, and eternal bliss. It is described as a paradise where there is no pain, suffering, or sorrow. This from Revelation 21:4. It is a place of perfect communion with God, Revelation 21:3. It is eternal life. Heaven is associated with eternal life. It is portrayed as a realm where believers will experience the fullness of life in the presence of God. It is described as a place of immortality, where there is no death or decay. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 52 through 54.
1 Corinthians chapter
15, chapter 15, verses 52 through 54.
Okay.
Heaven is a heavenly city. In the book of Revelation, heaven is depicted as a glorious city in New Jerusalem, descending from heaven to earth It is described as a place of magnificent beauty and splendor, with streets of gold and gates made of precious jewels.
That's my father saying that.
Right.
Okay.
Revelation chapter 21, verses 10 through 27.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be a place of fellowship with believers. The Bible suggests that heaven will be a place of fellowship and communion with other believers. It portrays believers from every nation and generation coming together in the presence of God. Revelation chapter 7, verses 9 through 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it is worship and praise. Heaven is described as a place of continual worship and praise. The Bible portrays heavenly beings such as angels praising and glorifying God. Revelation chapter 4, verses 8 through 11. Now, also, and I just want to throw this last thing in there.
Mm-hmm.
When we transform, because some people, they could be really up in age and say like 97 years old or whatnot. When they, of course, they get a new body.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, at what age are they looking like?
Well, now I'm gonna tell you something that truly happened. When my dad died in 1983, and we were all at the hospital, I have never seen nothing like this in my life. My father looked like he was 21 years old. And my mother said, "Look at your father." And we all looked over because all of us were there. And we all saw the same thing. And we all said,
15.
he looks younger. Yes. So I don't know what age, but I know that we're going to be younger. I know that much,
So I would.
I don't know if you ever seen the movie. It's Heaven for Real. Heaven is for Real. That's a good movie. Mm-hmm. When he says that his grandfather was very young,
This thought came in my head about Jesus. Maybe we go back to around the age he was. 30-ish.
Maybe.
Something like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because even it made me think about babies. All these things, just like all these things come in my head, questions of heaven and so forth, just like talking about the poop and whatnot. But
but I love it.
But
yes.
But yeah, that's even with babies, they transition. What state are they in? Are they grown-ups? Are they still babies? What?
I think babies, because they're babies, I think they go back to being a baby. Because they hadn't had time to grow or to transform. So I go back to being a baby. And then, as you were saying, CeCe, about your dad, he transitioned. Now, when he passed, we went to go see him after we got him, when they got him dressed and be presented for everybody to see. That skin looks so, I'm like, he didn't have bad skin anyway, but
it just looks so beautiful, huh? So smooth.
It's just so beautiful and smooth, and he just had the most prettiest smile on his face.
Like a heavenly look.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing.
Yes.
And I said, heaven is so real. And as you stated about, I saw that movie. And when he said his grandfather was young.
Yes.
And he saw his sister. But the parents told him he had a sister.
Yeah, they didn't know he knew. And he knew because she hugged him. Yes. She kept hugging him. Yeah.
I make a correction on the date that I gave back in late 80s. It was early 90s because it was after Marvin and I got saved. Because we got saved in 90, 91.
90.
Okay. Wow, that's a blessing. Wait a minute, how long have you been married? When did you guys get married?
1985. Been married 38 years,
Mm-hmm.
Don't be bragging.
and
I
we've
got
been
married.
and we've been together 43 years total.
I got
Well, we've
married in
known each other 43 years
1986.
total.
86, a year after you guys, okay? I miss you every day. Every day. Yeah, but 86. Yeah. And I've known them since we were teenagers.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. Beautiful.
I believe. Oh, let me tell you before we go. Don't cut us off, Google.
Oh, it's 12 minutes. We got 12 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm a person that I can remember all my dreams, except for lately when I be getting these brain freezes. So, but I can remember all my dreams, especially my spiritual dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this dream, guys, that one night, it could have been in the daytime, but I was in this dark place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in this dark place, and I have this white outfit that I still have to this day. This white outfit, and I'm walking away from me. I'm walking away with this beautiful white outfit, and I'm in my jeans. And as I'm walking away, I rise up on this beautiful gold, and I'm looking at me walk away, but I'm looking at me rising on this gold, and I automatically knew that God was doing something, in my life, and I am ever so grateful to Him, in that dark place that I was, and it didn't. What it symbolized to me, you could be dressed up all you want, okay? The dressed up person is going this way, and the person that got on the jeans was rising high on top of gold. And the gold was actually, like sparkling, like a sparkling gold that you would see in heaven. And there was a light about me as the other one was walking through the darkness and turned the corner in the darkness as I rose up, and I was thanking God.
Wow.
Was thanking Him, Yeah. It's like,
Awesome.
yes, like every dream that I have, mostly my sister Charmaine, when it's spiritual, she's in it. When God said, when I heard a voice and I said to my mother and father, I'm hearing things, and I heard this voice say, if you stop smoking, I'm going to bless you. And I said, you know what? I really lose my mind. I'm going to get me a cigarette. This is what I'm saying. So I got me a cigarette, and I was getting ready to light that cigarette. And that voice said, it was God. I told you I would bless you if you stop smoking. So I went to bed that night. I put the cigarette out. I went to bed. And in the dream, my sister Charmaine said, didn't God say He would bless you if you stop smoking? And I said, yes, it was God. So fast forward 3 years later, okay? I'm going to the doctor. Ooh, Lord Jesus. I go to the doctor to have a chest x-ray. And Dr. Holine asked me, did you ever smoke? I said, yes. And he said, I'm glad you stopped smoking, because if you had not stopped smoking, you would be dead. That's what he said. And when I got in my car, my hands went up in the air, just praising God for what He had did for me. And thanking God that He helped me to be obedient, because I stopped cold turkey like that.
That's awesome.
And how long ago was that? What year?
Huh?
What year was that?
Wow, that was in the 80s, somewhere around that time.
There was it was like in Mass, whereas a lot of people in my family, my side of the family, had quit smoking. It was my mother, grandmother, aunt, her husband, another cousin of mine, maybe about 6 or 8 people altogether from my family. Right around that time period also, they stopped smoking.
Wow.
They stopped smoking.
But listen at this, you guys. This is the bad side of me, okay, Jesus? But I used to love to smoke joint. Not so much as drinking, but I love joint, and I could get it anytime I wanted. You know. So my girlfriend and I, we would hang out, and she would hang out with me because we can get the cahootsie, the joint, you know. And so I remember, as God had spoke to me about the smoking of the cigarette, I was like, well, he didn't tell me to stop smoking joint.
Oh, you gonna be selective, huh?
Yeah, like I could be, okay? And this is what he did for me. I'm sitting there in pride, patting myself on the back, telling myself how intelligent I am. I'm smoking now, okay? Talking out of order, smoking. And so this is what he did for me. He put the fear of God in me because I thought that the devil was chasing me. I'm running home. I'm running. And then the devil says, your house is on fire. And I done ran into the wrong house, okay, my neighbor's house. And they was like, what's wrong with you? I said, I'm in the wrong house. My house is on fire. And so Spuddy said, your house is not on fire. I said, yes, it is. And so I ran up. It wasn't my house, but it was the next door neighbor's home that was on fire. But let me tell you something. Right after that, no more joint. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want any more at all. And I stopped. And all the people that smoke joint, I was like, well, they can still be my friends. But little did I know, God was removing me from them. And that you know, place of evilness that I was in, you know. And so I thank God. I have more stories, but we'll talk about that another time.
Okay. Can't wait to hear them too.
I want to say that if people that the spirit realm is real, it is so real.
It is.
And it can be a beautiful thing. When you see yourself, when you being spiritually attacked,
right,
yourself fighting, that's your spirit man.
Yes.
And God will fight even when you can't fight.
Yes.
So the spirit realm is real and heaven is real.
Ooh, yes it is. Yes, Lord.
Yes. Yes.
For that. So thankful for that. He said when when the enemy comes in like a flood, he said, I'll lift the standard.
Come on.
You can't fight. Your spirit man will fight for you.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well,
yes. 4 minutes.
3 minutes now. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, we should, even though, yes, it's one thing to perish from this life because you're no longer with friends and family. But on the other side, you're going to be with other family members who've gone on, and you be with the Lord. And not just, also you'll have a transformed body. No longer will you feel pain. No longer will you have fear. No longer will you go through all the things that you go through now. You'll be in a mansion, so to speak.
Yes,
You'll be kingdomly.
Yes.
Because that's what God is about. He is our king.
Mm.
So we'll be officially in the presence of the King.
Yes, Lord.
So I'll leave you with this. Now, it's important to note that while the Bible provides glimpses and imagery of heaven, it doesn't provide a comprehensive or detailed description. The descriptions are often figurative and symbolic, as the nature of heaven is beyond our infinite mind. So, but the thing is, we have something to look forward to more so than the unbeliever. We're at the point where we need to be, where the unbeliever has to get to this point. So we have a greater understanding of death than the unbeliever. So we should continually look to heaven, continually to do the things needed here in this flesh, according and in God's will.
Yes.
So I'm gonna leave you with that.